Police Cocalico Township, be in order. Please rise and pledge allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please silence your cell phones. The chief has presentation letters for
So if I can have Corporal Sola, Officer Longo, and Officer McCabe come up. I'll read the letter, commendation for their actions. On April 20th, 2019 at 1:32 in the morning, the officers responded to Denver Borough for an individual that had contacted 911 and was threatening self-harm. The officers arrived to find an individual holding a firearm. Officer Luongo and Officer McCabe took cover and provided protection to Corporal Sola as he began to speak to the individual. After an intense 15 minutes of de-escalation, Corporal Sola convinced the individual to release the firearm. The individual was transported to the hospital to receive treatment. If not for the rapid response of the officers of the East Cocalico Township Police Department and their excellent implementation of their training and abilities, this incident could have had a different and devastating result. Corporal Sola, Officer Luongo, and Officer McCabe's actions reflect great credit for themselves and the entire East Cocalico Township Police Department. Congratulations. Thanks. Thank you, gentlemen. For different.
Oh, then they're all together.
Yes, then we can do them.
Okay.
Could I have Corporal Savage and Officer Kreischer come up with me? So on April 8th, 2019 at 1:16 in the afternoon, officers of the East Cocalico Township Police Department were notified of a bank robbery that just occurred at the Univest Bank in West Earl Township. Dispatch indicated that the suspect vehicle was traveling north on 222. Corporal Savage and Officer Kreischer responded to the area to Route 222 and Colonel Howard Boulevard in an attempt to intercept the bank's robbery suspects. Through radio transmissions, Corporal Savage and Officer Kreischer located and attempted to stop the suspect vehicle. The vehicle fled and later left the roadway. Officer Kreischer and Corporal Savage took one suspect in custody and provided a description and direction of the other suspect that fled on foot. A short time later, the second suspect was located and taken into custody. If not for the rapid response and interception of the suspect vehicle by officers of the East Cocalico Township Police Department, critical evidence and recovery of the $115,000 may not have occurred. Corporal Savage and Officer Kreischer's action reflect great credit to themselves and the entire East Cocalico Township Police Department. Corporal Savage. Congratulations.
May I speak out
I feel it important to note that at this incident, Chief Catley was also on scene with a stop sticks and was at the right place at the right time, threw these stop sticks out to give that vehicle flat tires so that we could catch that person. He deserves credit.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
On the count of 3, and take.
Going out the door hours.
I will not say no.
Sitting legs flat.
All right. Count 1, 2, 3. And 1.
Always one. Always one.
We'll do it.
This time of year too. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be back to work. Catch some more.
Yep. It is.
Sorry.
Number take those, just a chairs.
Thanks, I
only care
First off, Mr. Troy Texter, please come forward. Thank you, Troy. Dear Troy, on behalf of East Cocalico Township, we'd like to thank you for planting the flowers that have been placed around the building and then taking the time and for doing that for the township. So it's a letter of appreciation, small letter. Thank you very much. It looks beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Troy.
Just want to state one thing for Troy real quick. All the flags we've seen put up over the last couple of years, all the gardening around the township, around the signs, the lights, everything has been done by Troy at Troy's expense. A lot of flowers and the plants he grows in his own yard, he plants them in the township building. It's a tremendous service that he's done for the township. And as a manager that's responsible for this building, I greatly appreciate everything that he's done to really beautify things. All those ugly bushes are gone now, and we got these beautiful flowers all around the building, and it's because of Troy. So thank you.
You're more than welcome. I want to step over here.
Go ahead, step over there.
I'd like you to get me all the employees' names and last names, and then send it to you.
Thank you, Troy.
Thanks.
Oh, wait.
Who's going to be my boss to tell me if I am doing something wrong? Somebody's got to be my boss.
Maybe that guy.
Letter, Tony.
See, if I volunteer, then I can't get fired.
That's right. That's right.
So while I was on township property,
Mhm.
I found a couple things that need to be looked at.
Okay.
I'll give them.
Yep.
I'll give them Scott.
Absolutely.
Everything. So, thanks.
No, thank you, Troy. It looks beautiful.
We'll keep working on it. It'll get better.
They both been
Again, Troy.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you.
You know where to live at?
I think I do. The face looks very familiar.
Along 97.
Do you want to sign over?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right up at Mortgage Valley.
Yes.
Mortgage Valley.
Troy,
You can pop in sometime.
can we get a picture of you two?
Sir. Where do you want me to stand?
In the middle?
In the middle.
You're the tallest one.
Toward Alan, thank you. Okay, we'll take 2.
That's okay.
Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And one more. Count of 3. 1, 2. Vacation. Smile. Thank you.
Sonny, what a...
Yeah.
Thanks, Troy. Okay, we'll continue with the presentation of checks to the different groups in the township. Town Library. Do you have anything you want to say?
Oh, yes, actually, I do. I can just say a few words.
Yes, you may.
We have a new youth services coordinator, Jessica Zook, so our summer reading statistics and all of our program statistics are going through the roof. Kids are coming in droves, so we're really happy about that. Construction of the building is going to start probably the end of August, beginning of September. We're going to level the old hotel and start construction. So we expect it to be done, the new library in April of 2019. So we're very happy about that. So that's what I have to add.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Donation. you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Reevestown Ambulance. Do you want to say a few words? No.
That's what you got him for. Rick, final chance, you want to say something?
Scott, Reevestown Fire Company.
There's your speech.
Do you want to say anything?
I don't think so.
Rick said it all.
Rick said it best.
Yes, we did.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Smokestown Fire Company.
Good speech.
Do you want to say anything, Donnie?
All I want to say is, some of our members heard a rumor about Smoketown might need some financial difficulty. So I just want to give you all, it looks like $8. I'm not sure who's going to worry about that.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. That way, it looks like we're interested to hear about it.
Well, see, you're better off now.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you,
Thanks.
Donnie.
Thank you.
And Stevens Fire Company, Mr. Black.
The only thing we have to say is we've added on to our helicopter landing pad, so now the ambulance, in fact, was just finished today, that the ambulance can now get on the macadam, or I'm sorry, cement instead of going through all that. And sadly, this will be the last year for our because of help and money, we're just not going to be able to continue doing that, so we're going to do this will be the last year.
Now, quick question for you. I had heard that infant critical care transfers is one of the probably busiest things they're doing with the
Did you
health.
say that's true?
That is correct. It's changing a little bit now that WellSpan took over, but there's in the past that has been majority.
Wow.
Put it back. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How about a round of applause for these? Photo of all of them. Without us, right?
Yeah, you guys too.
You want to go back there?
That's you.
You're the president.
There you want to hold the check.
And what does that mean? What does that 2020?
He did 2020.
No, Jim 2020. No, Jim. I had it. Jim.
Jim 2020.
Well, then that, I do qualify for that, too.
I'll slide it. I'm fine.
You need a motion.
Yeah, you have to spread.
No,
They're the representative.
No, that's what
You know what? Next, yes, yes.
I was going to say, I'm not going to go.
And then.
We'll be more than friends.
1, 2. And one more, please.
Fish out ones.
That's what she needs.
1, 2.
Make me hungry.
I'm hungry too.
Excellent, got you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's it. You're going to send us out.
Because I told my wife already, I said, I'm gonna go MC the carnival show. At least I'll do it. That's when there's some other stuff going on. Sure, I will.
We'll continue with the zoning hearing. Okay, Tom?
Well, note for the record that notice of this hearing was advertised in Langston newspapers on April 25 and May 2, 2019. We have approved publication to that effect. I'll make that a part of the record. And we'll also note that on behalf of this zoning amendment, Mr. James Strong of McNeese, Wallace, and Norrick is present, and I'll ask him to make a short presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As Mr. Goodman mentioned, my name is James Strong. I'm the attorney for Members First. Also with me tonight is John Murphy with Alpha Consulting Engineers. And so You're very familiar with this project, having seen the land development plan for the facility, so I'll be brief in my comments, and they'll relate directly to the amendment that's before the board. So as part of this project, Members First is proposing a freestanding sign that will include a changeable message display. There's 5 copies there if you want to take a look at those. But just so you have a sense of what the sign is that we're talking about, Section 220-45.A22 of the zoning ordinance sets forth the requirements for dynamic message display signs. And the one that has us here before you tonight is that those types of signs are not permitted within 500 feet of a signalized intersection. And these two as well, and then I have a board here. And this helps to illustrate what that 500-foot distance looks like. So here's the signalized intersection at Denver Road and North Reading Road. Here is the proposed Members First facility. And so this circle represents that 500-foot distance. And so for Members First to have the type of sign that is proposed, it would be pushed out, as you can see, onto the turnpike or back behind the existing hotel. So it really, what that requirement as currently in the zoning ordinance doesn't take into account is how far off the cartway for the adjacent road the sign is set back. And so that's what the proposed amendment does. It takes into account how far the sign is as opposed to just having a 500-foot distance requirement. So that's the site plan that you're familiar with. So you can see the location of the proposed sign. But what the ordinance does is says that you can be within 500 feet of a signalized intersection as long as your sign is at least 60 feet from the cartway of the adjacent streets. And so that amendment would accommodate the location of the proposed Members First changeable message sign. The ordinance really carries through everything else that was already in the ordinance. And the amendment has been reviewed by the Township Planning Commission and the Lancaster County Planning Commission, and both have recommended approval of the text amendment. Here's a copy of the memo from the county, just so that can be a part of the record. But we would respectfully request that you consider adopting the proposed text amendment. We can answer any questions that you might have regarding the amendment or what Members First is proposing.
Signage is standard for how they're doing that in other areas, isn't it?
You mean the 500-foot?
No, in terms of.
Oh, yes, what's being proposed is very, that's a standard sign package for Members First.
The picture, is that exactly the way the sign would be then?
It should be, if not, there's a requirement that the changeable message not be more than 50% of the sign area. So we may have to tweak that a little bit.
The color of the lighting, that,
You mean the single color?
the message, that would be.
I think it would have multiple colors available.
It will be multiple, that is similar to the other packages they use in other facilities.
And all of the requirements in the ordinance that are in there now about brightness and how frequently the message can change, all of those requirements will still be in the ordinance. And that part is not changing. What we're looking at is where it can be located relative to the intersection.
Yeah, it's a similar, yeah.
The concern has always been about line of sight. This sign's nowhere near the line of sight. We're introducing an offset.
Okay.
It really doesn't interfere at all in terms of where it's located.
Does anyone have any questions or comments in regard to this ordinance?
Yes, sir.
Comment, Planning Commission.
State your name, please.
My name is Ralph Buckles.
Thank you.
I'm a resident of the township. Planning Commission, this is an unadvertised assistance to McNeese, Wallace, and Alpha. They did present, and we grilled them heavily along the same questions that you all just went through. So they didn't get off easy.
Over 2 meetings.
I said they didn't get off easy.
Thank you, Ralph.
I have no questions.
This on the agenda for adoption.
Yeah, should we have a motion to close the hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
And I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to stay, or?
I'm sure.
Your first one,
Plus the episode.
Approval of past meeting minutes.
I would make a motion that we adopt the Thursday, April 24th minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Here, just worth noting for the record that the May 2nd meeting was canceled due to an anticipated lack of quorum.
Thank you. Police Department, Chief.
Evening.
Good evening.
We went live with our new records management system April 29th. We had training April 22nd and 24th. That went pretty smooth. We had some officers from other departments that are using the same system that we were able to accommodate and host here. We went live April 29th. It seems to be going well. The company that we contracted with had a person at our station for 4 out of the 5 days of the first week. So it's taking some getting used to because it's a completely different system. But I have heard positive feedback from the officers, and it's going to be a work in progress to get perfected by everyone. But we are making adjustments as needed, but we seem to be doing pretty well with that. Again, next month's numbers are going to look different. It's just a different way to capture that data. So I'll explain it when I have that next month, and we can go from there. On May 9th, Officer Kreischer hosted a mix-up enforcement detail on Colonel Howard Boulevard, right at the Turnpike interchange. What he does is he have officers from other departments, and it's my understanding that a number of the officers that were at this one are in training to become mix-up officers, so it's the motor carrier enforcement officers. They inspected 20 trucks, and the fines resulted from that 4.5 hour detail totaled $4,325. More importantly, they dealt with the safety of those trucks and got those individuals to fix those problems. So Officer Kreischer does go to other jurisdictions. I think one of them is Exeter Township down in Berks when they're hosting it, so he gets his inspections in that he needs, and we benefit when they all come up here and help us. The patrol fleet is up to complement, and all the new cars are in service, so we should be able to control mileage for the next number of years, and I'm hoping that it stays as is for hopefully 4, if not 5 years. And finally, I received, an individual came into the station, a Mr. Reinhold came into the station and expressed his thanks to the department for our efforts on West Sportsville Road and keeping an eye on some family members, residents there. And then he proceeded to donate to the police department a $200 check. So I was happy with that and wanted to publicly thank him. He will be getting a letter that was signed by myself and Chairman Fry. And last Friday, Officer Fisher came to the station after his day of school. He was at the middle school at that point and brought a check for $290 from the Cocalico Middle School Faculty Fund. And he donated that to the department. It was for their dress down day on that Friday where staff pays or donates money so they can dress down for the day. And they decided that dress down day, the proceeds were going to go to the police department, which we greatly appreciate. I also have a letter for them. They indicated that they would hope that we could potentially use that money for a drone, which I am currently investigating. But that's what my plan is for both those checks, among other things, among other donations, hopefully, to get that item. So that's also a work in progress. But I wanted to publicly thank them. That was very nice of both individuals.
Any comments or questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief. Zoning Officer, tell me.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. You should have a copy of my report. Based on the length of our agenda, I will keep it short and sweet. A very busy month for the zoning department, 57 applications total, which we've never had in my 11 years of being here. 36 permits issued, 20 in review and 30 for pickup. 2 more single-family dwellings were permitted in that time period. As far as zoning hearings, we did have 2 in the month of April. Trackside LLC was requesting several special exceptions and variances. Their decision was denied. And the second case was Narrows Glen LLC, which is also the landmark builders people, came before zoning board asking for some variances, and they were granted with approval. And we did have 1 new case headed for May. Mr. Dale Martin was requesting a special exception, basically looking for a variance in the setback, a special exception in the setback for livestock housing. That decision is pending. Rather than go through the entire, as you can see, my code enforcement and other items is pretty lengthy, and I did want to keep it short. The only other thing that I did have mentioned to the board that we hadn't discussed in the past briefly, but as far as the Board of Supervisors liaison program, I did come up with roughly 10 potential projects for the board's consideration. I do not need any answer from the board tonight. This is just for your information, and I'll pass those over to Mr. Mackley, one for the supervisors, and Lisa, if she needs one.
Okay. So just for an explanation of the public, Tony, this is the liaison program we're putting in place, starting in 2019.
Something we had mentioned previous meetings, yes.
Right. So this is part of one of those action items we had for the tactical plan to support the 2019 budget that we put in place.
Correct.
So this completes one of those action items.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
So, and then we got to talk about one of us being assigned to each one.
Sure.
As the liaison.
Yep.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, sir. If there are any questions on the report, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions of the zoning officer?
Chad Weaver, I have one for you, Tony, but it's nothing with what you presented. Do you know when the time span is for Wabash Road to get paved? It's been known for 2 or 3 weeks, and it's quite hideous on our vehicles.
I do not. I would defer to Scott on that one.
There was an issue with the tie-in at the new Wabash Landing roadway there. When you see the milling there, you see stone. That's not a good thing. It's a foot low. They've gone back and redesigned it. The design was actually approved today. I anticipate next week, weather permitting, they're going to be throwing about 6 to 8 inches of leveling force nail on there and raising the road up so we won't see stone anymore.
Excellent.
So, it's a work in progress. There was a little surprise
Yep.
a couple weeks ago when they
Good
looked.
enough.
Okay, other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
You're welcome.
List of bills.
Okay. Just a note of forewarning, this is a rather large list of bills, as we haven't met as a board because of some issues where we couldn't be here for the meetings for 6 weeks. So normally it's every 2 weeks, so this is 6 weeks for the bills. You've got a list of total general fund of $343,511.80. You got a total state fund of $15,275.42. A total recreation fund of $3,700. And a total capital reserve fund of $313.25. Question?
Just a question for the chief. How many vests do you get for $3,879.93?
It was 6. It was 6, and the special carrier for Officer Fisher, which is a little different than the normal carrier that is underneath. And then Officer Kreischer also got a carrier somewhat similar for when he does the details, so it's not more comfortable.
Does it go by years? How many years?
Yes, you have to replace them every 5 years. They
Whether you
expire
wear them or not, every 5 years?
Yes.
Okay. The last question, lettering number 5. Was that the vehicle that replaced the one that was demolished?
Yes.
Is that going to get forwarded, that 475.76
Yes.
get forwarded to the insurance company?
Yes, that was, I think, the last bill that we got in for that car. It was that, and there was something else outstanding. I think it may have been partial for the upfitting. So that's now getting forwarded. We originally got a check for the replacement and a few other things, the towing and that. But now that this is passed, then I can forward that to the insurance company. So we should get that back up.
Any other questions? I'll make a motion to pay the bills as presented.
Second the motion. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Ordinance 2019-03.
So here I'll read the motion for you to consider. This is for your hearing a few minutes ago that you held. For various message on motions to adopt ordinance number 2019-03, amending the code for the township of Cocalico, County of Lancaster, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, ordinance number 2007-02 as amended, chapter 220 zoning, article 3, general provisions, section 220, 45 outdoor signs, by revising certain requirements for dynamic message display signs in subsection 220-45A22.
Any comments or questions? I'll make a motion we adopt that ordinance.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Planning engineer.
So I'll be filling in for Brent Lee. The first item you have before you is presidential cabinets. This was originally going to be presented for a conditional plan approval. They're not really rushing it. There's a couple of things they still need to get done. And they actually didn't request anything to be done tonight, but Brent Lee and I looked at what they had out there, and there was a couple of waiver requests, and maybe we can clean up a couple of things while they're wrapping up a couple of things on their end. So both of these are waiver modification requests. The first one is a motion to grant a waiver modification of the requirements section 194.28H of the subdivision land development ordinance related to access drive carway width requirements of 24 feet and the authorized use of 20 feet wide access drive. Basically, their site on Louse Road, they're looking at box trucks coming in. It's infrequent in nature and trying to be a little bit more earth-friendly and property owner-friendly. 20-foot parkway is more than sufficient for what they need to get in and out. What's being proposed. So we're supportive of that waiver modification.
Is there anybody here?
I don't think so.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Second motion is also to grant them some minor relief, and it's a waiver modification requirements of section 194.25L5 for the subdivision and land development ordinance related to clear site triangles to authorize use of a 50-foot clear site triangle at the access drive intersection with Louse Road. Basically, putting in plain speak, it's a straight section. And this relief is just common sense, they don't need a big triangle there. They got plenty of site distance.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Chair, that you have before you is a sketch plan for the 220 Falls Hill Road. And we're just going to go over some deferrals related to that. And we do have Mr. Hershey in the audience for any specific questions, although I got to just a rather routine approvals at this point. So the first motion is to defer the requirements of 194.25C1 of the subdivision land development ordinance related to improvements to existing streets and any widening to existing cartways, but reserves the right to require right-of-way dedication in the subdivision, conditioned upon notation acceptable to the township being placed on the future subdivision plan, documenting the deferral and the owner applicant's obligation to complete any of the required improvements in conjunction with future development of the properties or when required by the board of supervisors. Basically, this is just a simple subdivision plan right now. There's no proposed projects. We're just granting some relief with deferral requirements right now.
I think somebody's here. Okay. Have anything to add?
Mr. Russell did well, thank you. Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those no, motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, again, another relief given the nature of the plans that has been prepared. The motion is to defer the requirements of section 194.32A1, 194.32A2, and 194.32A3 of the subdivision land development ordinance related to the construction of sidewalk along the public roadways, conditioned upon notation acceptable to the township being placed on future subdivision plan, documenting the deferral and the owner applicant's future obligation to complete sidewalks in conjunction with future development or when and as required by the board of supervisors.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
And the third related motion is to defer the requirements of section 194.33A1, 194.33A2, and 194.33A3 of the subdivision and land development ordinance related to the construction of curbing along the public roadways, conditioned upon notation acceptable to the township being placed on future subdivision plan, documenting the deferral and future owner applicant's obligation to complete curbing in conjunction with future development or when and as required by the board of supervisors.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last item, Mr. Chair, you have is for New Holland Transport. This is a security reduction. The bulk of the work has been done and completed. This is just some minor remaining cleanup items. So the motion is to authorize a $1,283,388.44 reduction in the financial security currently being held for New Holland Transport Holdings LLC preliminary final land development plan, resulting in a remaining financial security being reduced to $28,000.
Anybody here representing that?
I was not anticipating anybody here.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on. Ordinance 2019-04.
Mr. Chair, this is some of the final things that we need to do with the transfer of our pension system to Univest. You have before you two different ordinance amendments, 2019-04 for the police pension and 2019-05 for the non-uniform pension. They have been properly advertised. Our solicitors here, if there's any legal questions you might have, but again, this is a rather routine, especially the rather routine ordinances that are just required for us to have in place for our pension system.
I would make a motion we adopt ordinance 2019-04 regarding the uniform pension fund.
And I'll second that motion.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried.
Scott, remind me, is that the one that completes then that transfer?
Not necessarily okay with transfer, but this is a requirement for, this is an auditing requirement that our plans reflect the current changes that we have made by payment providers.
Okay, got it. Ordinance 2019-05.
This is a non-uniform.
Right, this motion is to adopt ordinance number 2019-05, amending the pension plan applicable to the non-uniform employees of East Cocalico Township.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2019-05.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Ordinance 2019-06.
This is to recognize, you have in your packet updated specifications that the authority has prepared for both water and sanitary sewer requirements that will occur within the public right of way. Again, this is a routine document, but it reflects the current standards that they're having in place, and the township has reviewed their standards, and we agree with what is being proposed.
I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2019-06.
I will second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Resolution 2019-05.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is actually a signal application form. It is for the intersection, signalized intersection of Church Street and 272. This is to put the preemption devices that have been sitting in our conference room for the last 12 months up on those signals. As we had reported a couple months ago now, the township did not win a grant at that location, and so the determination was made. We were holding off installing the preemption until we knew whether we were going to grant monies to do additional signal improvements or not. So we're at the point now of doing this. We're updating the signal permit. CMI will install the hardware that we currently have already owned and purchased. This is a budgeted item for 2019.
This will be the fire company preemption.
Fire company and
emergency services.
So I'll make that motion.
Okay.
You made the motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? Yes, sir.
What's the cost on that?
In terms of the materials themselves? Or?
Right,
It's
lock,
a,
stock, and barrel, to put it up.
I remember it now, the cost we bought them last year was 2018 to install a couple $1,000.
5, 8, 10?
Couple thousand, not 5, 8, 10.
I'm saying, okay,
$2,000
so
to $3,000.
are we gonna be looking to do 272 and 897?
No. This is specifically just for this one signal.
Correct. But down the road, I mean, are we budgeting for maybe next year or the year after for that one?
I don't know at this point yet.
We'll have to talk to the fire companies. They requested this, and this is why we did
Oh, this
it.
was long due coming, yeah. But I'm
Well, again, we were waiting, Brian.
just
You got a little antsy, but we were waiting. You heard him say that.
Yeah,
If we could have got the intersection redone, it would have been great.
right.
But in terms of purchasing signal branch equipment, that's about $15,000, give or
Okay.
take, without an exact number. So it's, now, I was told to do that one, so that's the one we're doing right now.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and a second, right? Yes, sir. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Award vehicle purchases.
And Mr. Chair, I'll read the motion because the motion actually kind of explains everything. The motion is to award the high bids received for the vehicles and equipment that were placed on this bid. 2011 Ford Crown Vic, $1,150. 2004 Chevy Impala, $1,530. 1985 John Deere loader, $21,900. 1989 Owens trailer, $1,000. 1991 GMC Top Skid dump truck, $5,500. The 2000 John Deere mower, $2,900. And the 2001 International 4900 Series, $10,700.
I'll make a motion to award it to the highest bid for the vehicles he just went through.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, the next thing is settlement with the police officers agreement.
You have the document in your packet. I'll read the motion and you guys can discuss. The motion is simply to approve the signing of the Police Officers Association settlement agreement.
I would make the motion.
I'll second the motion. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. That also extends the contract for 2 more years. Okay. Swim team shed.
This one I'll defer to you, Mr. Chair.
Williamstown swim team would like to purchase a new shed and stick it where the old sheds are located now. So,
Replacing, basically.
they're replacing, upgrading the one shed, and the other shed is part of the building. You're gonna take that down and put it on, and it'll be sitting on the cement slab. It'll take a little more space in the cement slab that it's take up now.
It's basically the same footprint.
Basically, yes, basically. It's to the left side of the,
As you're inside the fence looking at the pools to the left.
yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, your motion, should you consider, would be to approve the swim team purchase and placement of a shed at the Reevestown pool in a manner and location acceptable to the pool manager.
You wanna make
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried.
Tony, I saw a couple of those emails, no bright pink with purple polka dots.
One thing I may like to add for the board's consideration, we have the shed permit that was supplied to me, the application. I have completed and approved it, requesting to waive all permit fees for the swim team.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we waive all permit fees to the swim team.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony, what would have been that permit cost?
Normally, for any accessory structure under 400 square feet, it's a $75 permit fee, so every little bit helps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Heatherwood settlement agreement.
Yes, you note that that is an added item that was added today to the agenda. We do have a settlement agreement, and the motion is, I'll read it, to approve the Heatherwood settlement agreement with Lexon for $209,562 when finalized to the satisfaction of the township solicitor. We have met with Burke's Homes, the work's agreed to. There's a minor thing back to Lexon, which I'm anticipating that they will make that adjustment, and then we'll get a check cut. And at that point then, Burke's Homes is ready to go and start the work.
And they'll do
And the work's all agreed upon at this point. Everything's been marked out in the field. The work is known, and our solicitor and Burke's Homes solicitor have been really working diligently and hard to get this one across the goal line at this point.
Yes.
Good, great. Thank you, Tom.
So that's clearly documented, the outstanding.
Yeah, right?
It is painfully documented.
Well, I'm just making that clear.
Not to mention, it's not documented, it's also painted out in the field to the T at this point. Anybody can go out there and can see exactly
Right.
what sidewalk is being repaired right now and what repairs that are occurring in general. So it is very understood and agreed, the work has already been agreed upon by Burke's, it's just getting this last step done with Lexon. I do want to commend Tom for getting this across the goal line. Over the last couple of months, there's been a lot of back and forth on the legal side, and now we got this one done.
Well, this has been hanging on for years.
It's been hanging on for years, but the calling of the bonds was done in 18 months, and that's pretty quick. When you're going from the starting of calling bonds to the point that we're at right now, in 18 months with no litigation throughout the whole process, basically the parties kept it amicable the whole time. We get done. If it went to litigation, it'd be years from now until we get this done.
Okay, I'll make the motion in a second.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Old business, MS4.
I'm going to talk about this more in my managed report, about what the watershed groups are doing. So I have a little bit detailed read for that. But as an update as to what we've been doing on the MS4 side for the last 2 weeks since the last time we reported out, there have now been meetings that are starting to get set up with property owners. As we talked about last time, have broken the township into zones, similar to our OLDS program that we have for our sewer mounds. And we are in the process of vetting the work that's there and getting that work done. Ken's been diligent in doing inspections now and being set up with some of the property owners. We did now incorporate, since we talked about it the last 2 meetings ago now, the shifting focus onto ag. We are now bringing ag into these zones too, just like we're doing with the BMPs. So our first zone actually has only a few farms, just like the BMPs. That's actually a good one for us to break into. And we are looking at conservation plans actually being in place and implemented for these farms. So we have about 5 farms. Ken's back there, not. We have 5 farms, roughly. There are 5 farms that are on the list for a higher level of scrutiny in this zone. Some names are very well familiar, and I won't read them out, but actually a couple of good farmers are in that group. So it's actually a good one to cut our teeth with at this point, with this new emphasis on ag that's being imposed upon us. So with those things in place, the other thing that has been being worked on and Ken's taking the lead on is getting an annual report and starting to pull all those things together that are required with our reporting that ends in June 30th. So we're only a couple weeks away from our reporting ending, and we got to make sure we've kind of done the last couple of things that we said we were going to be doing for this year. So, and that's a little checklist of items that we need to complete before June 30th. That's been working on.
So DEP is letting us look at farms now?
It's not so much DEP is letting us. I'd probably use other terms other than letting us.
I thought it was all municipal and.
No, it's a mandate end around to get municipalities more involved with ag by using the permitting process and utilizing the county's waterway improvement program, waterway improvement plan. And like we talked about the 9 million pounds of nitrogen that we're required in the next 5 years to remove, which is 95% has to come from farm. So it's falling on our shoulders. To be preemptive, we're just doing the very basic step of making sure that the farms have conservation plans implemented.
Any other questions?
Are those, Ralph Buckles, is that partitioning of the township available in the township office?
Yeah, we can share it too. And we can share it with the planning commission too. Good.
We have the new website, once the new website is online.
Okay, good.
And if we have not been notified as a farmer to date, then we're not one of those. We're not one of those ones.
If you're not in the roughly the 897 corridor towards the Brecknock end of things, you're not in the first section.
The first area that we're working on is north of the turnpike and east of 272. So it's that northeast quadrant of the parish.
Yeah, so
Any other questions? Thank you. Fire and EMS, any discussion?
been working with the fire chiefs. We're going to have a meeting the first week of June. Just working around schedules to get one that works with all 3. We did reach out to John Sly about grant writing services as a follow-up. He has indicated that there are certain grant programs that we can go after for some of the items that we have on our list. We're going to refine that list when we have the fire chiefs meeting. The other thing is, I did talk to Mike Kessler from Denver Borough on the EMS side. The borough's going to have a meeting. Scott's still here or not? Let Scott know that we are going to be setting up a meeting with the borough. RC would be the township representative, and there'd be probably somebody from Borough Council. I'm not sure who Mike's going to have on the Borough Council side, and we're going to be talking about some long-term funding of Reedstown EMS.
Okay, any questions from the group? Thank you. Woody Waste.
Lisa, put in your packets. We have sold 273 access cards. We have another 300 that we have just picked up. The gate now has been down officially for just over a week now at this point. So far, it's been without hiccup, so that means people's cards are actually working. As you know, we talked about in our previous meetings that we had gotten a missed batch of cards from the vendor, which means some of the cards would work and some would not work. And to avoid people getting stuck with cards that work and not work, we got a whole new batch of cards, mailed them out, and we requested the residents to provide the old cards back. That seems to have worked. So that the cards that do not work seem to have gotten out of the system or in the process of. Can't say that we received every card back, but so far we haven't anybody complaining that they've gone up to the gate and the gate doesn't open when it should at this point. I do know, based off some reports that we've gotten, that a number of vehicles have now turned around that have a landscaping purpose behind them from utilizing the gated area. We have had a couple of people that will come in purely for cardboard requests. We told them that if it's a small thing, just park at the gate, drop it off. A couple of them are rather large, so we have a temporary card to provide them. And they take the card, they go in there, drop their cardboard off, and then come back out. So that seems to actually be working really well at this point with that. So far, though, it does seem to be working. I hate to say that, because but it does seem right now to be working, and we will be testing out the next batch of 300 cards before issuing them, just to make sure that they're all working too.
Good. Thank you. Civic Plus website.
I sent you an email, the Civic Plus sent us the other week with a updated schedule. And Lisa, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but going live where it will be visible would be the week of June 10th. So next week you should be seeing a pilot for your eyes only. At this point, it's not going to be a live document. And there's still work that needs to be done. And then the go live would be the week of June 10th.
Chief, did you mention to Scott about, I'll do it early. Chief called me and asked me if he could get a little bit of help in getting that live feed from the helicopter set tied in from them to our website. So I said, I told him, go ahead and contact you. And he said, maybe custom computers can help us with
We should figure out. We actually, with Civics Plus, we're probably able to do it.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
We are upgrading our data plan here for less money, so we should be able to handle those video uploads a lot better now.
Good. Okay, so we're coming on 20th century? Almost.
Okay, new business, resurface tennis court, the Reamstown Park area, and add pickleball line striping and a different color to the court.
This is just a new business item. This is not an action item for tonight. At least I don't recommend it be. This was presented via email to the township. It did get referred to the Recreation Board at our April 9th meeting. The board did make a motion to recommend the resurfacing of the tennis court at Reamstown Park and that pickleball line striping of a different color be added to the court. I just wanted to poll the board if that's something you want to consider, then we can actually start getting prices and start figuring out what it may or may not cost.
When we were up at PSATs, Doug and I visited with a gentleman. They have some plastic, what is it, plastic?
Lay-in-place blocks that can do a basketball court or a soccer field or a pickleball court, and he's from over at Bowmansville. So we asked him to contact us, and Alan just got the email, I think, the other day. So I'd just like to see what he has to say.
If you're okay with me exploring, that's all you guys I was looking for tonight, is if we're okay to explore.
Yeah, absolutely.